welcome to Let's Talk with Victory. I'm Leisha Lee, here with my co-host Amira Blackwell and the lovely ladies of Let's Talk with Victory. We want to thank you for tuning in today. Feel free to like, comment, and share. Ladies, we're going to jump right into our discussion today. We are talking about rediscovering ourselves as women of faith. You know, many of us have been wives, mothers. Well, I haven't been a wife, but some of us have been wives, mothers, daughters, professionals, caregivers, you know, and somewhere in those roles, I ask, have we lost ourselves within those roles? So today we're going to begin with, what does rediscovering yourself mean to you as a Christian woman?
For me, it means reinventing myself, like becoming a new person, leaving some of the old things that I used to do and be, just putting those away. And rediscovering, I'll say for me, some of my shortcomings and faults.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just to piggyback off of what she was saying, I think for me, rediscovering myself is always, it's also not always, but it's also like self-reflection, kind of like looking back at where you was, where you are now, what are some things that you can take away from those experiences or things that you've been through. Were they good things? Were there bad things? Are there things that you can just kind of like let go? Or some things, some areas in your life where you feel like, okay, I didn't do that correct, so now I want to, you know, kind of do things differently so I can get a different outcome. So I think self-reflection is a big part in reevaluating yourself.
Okay.
For me, I feel like rediscovering myself, specifically with like growing up in my generation where we allow the world to make up so much of who we are, or we allow the things and the opinions of the world to validate who we are. Stepping away from that can at first feel uncomfortable, when you almost feel lost, and then you get into your relationship with God, and then you find something new, and then it's like, oh, now I cannot allow the world to define who I am, because who I am is in God. And while that is like such an odd thing for my generation, because being young and following God, trusting God isn't something that's common. It's actually quite refreshing, especially when you find other young, like-minded people that are in that same area. So I just feel like this gives you more, it gives like more purpose, more sense in the world that, you know, just gonna leave you high and dry, don't really got that much for you. Finding God and finding a purpose in God is a lot more stable for the mind, stable for the heart, stable for relationships, just all around.
Okay. Well, I don't want you to go too far, because I got some other questions for you too.
For me, rediscovery is, like, as you said, Leisha, many times we put ourselves in with our families. You know, we may lose who our true identity is, because we're constantly working towards making sure that family or co-workers or whatever are good. So rediscovering ourselves is going back to the true self of who God made us to be, and understanding, okay, so what does it mean? What is my purpose? What does faith look like for me? How do I go back to doing the things that God has for me? And then what steps, what strategies do I need to make myself better? So it's going back, looking at you as an individual and building yourself in the way that you should be in faith, and yourself in the real world.
Okay.
Rediscovering for me is kind of like Kim said, like it's a evaluation. It's kind of like a self-evaluation, and how you will be, yes, in Christ. I think that's how we should live every day. It's not something you pick up and you put down. If you truly want to be that, if that's truly what you are. But I also think that it is understanding that although we're in Christ, that you can do this still how you do it, as long as it's with the principles of God. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, everybody doesn't have to come to church and wear a big hat. You know, everybody doesn't have to, you know, wear a skirt that's to their ankles just to give some. So, like, you have to know everybody doesn't have to pray 10 times a day, but you do have to pray.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
to understand how my life with God works.
Now, was there a specific season where you realized I need to find myself again?
Oh, yes. This is the season. Praise the Lord. So piggybacking from the first question about rediscovery, I think definitely, I'll say for me personally, I'm in a season of refocusing.
Okay.
It's not that the purpose has changed or God's vision for me has necessarily changed, but it's realizing that some distractions, some burdens, some weights that weren't necessarily mine were taking up a lot of his space and taking up a lot of pursuit of real, genuine purpose. So I'm grateful that some people, places, and things have fallen away because it's driving me back. It's calling me back to the place of that relationship with Christ so I can get back on the path He'd already identified for me. I don't think we ever lose that core. Hopefully we don't forget those things that He's instilled in us, that have been prophesied to us, those gifts and natural callings we have. But it's so easy with life to get encumbered and weighed down. So I'm grateful for a place to be able to refocus and get back to the original script.
All right, that is good.
That's good.
Ms. Dawn?
It was last year. It's too. I'm not sure what's going on with the microphone, but I had to sit and reflect on certain things, and I'm always the go-to person in my family, regardless of the age. I mean, everyone comes to me, and I'm good with giving advice, but I'm not good with taking my own advice. And I was finding myself really becoming angry, burnt out, and it was reflecting in certain things. And I was just consumed and absorbed with just taking on too much. And I needed the batteries to actually be like taken out, but I didn't know how to do that. So God took them out for me.
Nice.
You know, so now I'm restored and I feel better.
Sometimes we gotta let God do what He gotta do.
Yes, and that's the best thing. Yes,
Yes,
he
he
will.
will.
Yes.
Now, we wear many titles, but who are we beyond them? You know, some of us, like stated in the beginning, some are wives, some are mothers, some like focused on professionalism, a career, and things like that. But who are we beyond those titles? Who do we, when we revisit things from the past, and like, I don't know about y'all, but I know for me, like, I'll think about where I was before and where I am now, and I'm like, all right, what's the next thing? Like, what's next for me? What's coming up? So in there, it's like, who am I right now? And God changes things in your life unexpectedly. So sometimes it's like, all right, God, I know you thrown a wrench in my plan because I got to follow yours, and this is where I'm at now, but what do I do? Like, how do I, not what do I do, but how do I do this? Because there are things He'll give you, He'll redirect your path, and you'll think like, okay, this is where He wanted me, and then all of a sudden there's a turn. So it's like, oh no, now I got to go this way. But how do I get there?
I think that's why the focus, you know, I'm sorry, that's me. I'm just on focus for right now. Keeping that focus no matter what things come up in life and other titles we adopt, be it wife, be it caretaker, be it professional, realizing that our identity isn't in these external things or isn't in our ability to do and be for other people. I think for me, I'm learning that I'm an extension of Christ in profession, in family, in those arenas, but if I lose the focus that that's why I'm there, I'll get consumed. It's easy to be consumed with the title of being a professional and accomplished and everything, but that's not my identity, because that job could come or go today or tomorrow. But if that's all I think I am, you'll lose yourself.
Yeah.
So same thing with a caretaker. If that person gets better or they're able to function independently, then who are you?
Yeah.
So I think the key is to stay focused on our identity in Christ Jesus, who He says we are according to His word, and fulfilling our purpose, so that we don't lose that and get absorbed into these other things, roles, places, jobs
Go ahead, Kim.
that people take.
So I just wanted to piggyback off of what she was saying. I think because I'm currently in that season now, I think that I was pouring so much into being a mother, being a wife, being a professional, you know, that I began to lose who I was because I was so consumed with everybody else, making sure everybody else was good. So now where I'm also thinking that I have it together, that I'm on this right path, especially in front of my career, boom, something happens. And now I'm not even in the field of what I wanted to be in, that was being successful, that was working for me. So it's like now I'm like, okay, now I kind of like feel lost a little bit because it's like, okay, now God, what I do? I was so worried about making sure my children was good. I was so worried about making sure my husband was good and my family was good and this, that, and the third, that now I'm like stuck. Like, what do I do? So now what I'm doing more, which I have been doing, but what I'm doing more is communion and trying to like really sit back and say, okay, God, like, how do, like, okay, now that I'm here, what you want me to do with it? What, like, I try to look to, because I think that, you know, in everything you can learn from something. Like, God is trying to show you something. So I'm like, okay, God, what do you want me to see? Because I don't want to miss it. I don't want to prolong this process. Like, I want to get it and get out of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the place where I am now, and I'm kind of just like seeking God more. Like, in those times, I think you should seek God more and kind of like just self-reflect and just try to, like, in your situation, determine, okay, God, what do you want me to get out of this? And then so you can
That's excellent for what Kim was saying, because if you don't do what she just said, then that's when the cycles begin.
Okay.
You're finding yourself over and over again revisiting that one thing that she said she may feel stuck in.
Right.
You know, so that's when you go back to God and say, like Kim said, okay, what am I supposed to get out of this? What is my purpose in this? Direct me. And my key saying is, God, I need you to be my pilot, my navigator. Because right now, the decision I might make because of how I'm feeling about the uneasiness in this particular situation, I might not make the right decision. So direct and lead and guide me to how it is I'm supposed to manipulate or work into that specific area so that I can get to the next step and I'm not stuck.
Okay. MC.
For some of us, I think we need to keep our purpose in the forefront, because honestly, you will get consumed being a mother. You will get consumed being a caretaker, because at that time, that is what's needed. But if you always keep, and it could be so much as every time you walk in your bathroom, it says, I am a healer, I am whatever, because you know what your purpose is in God. And it's not always one thing, right? So sometimes your purpose is maybe two things, or maybe at this stage of your life, this was your purpose, and then this is your purpose now. So like y'all said, we need to stay in communion with God to understand and know. But the only way to get through those things is to keep, and to not lose yourself in it, is to keep it in the forefront. Because I have children of all ages, so I'm always going to be consumed as a mother. But the thing is that in this stage now, I don't forget who I am in God. So before, where I might have been like, okay, well, I have to do this and my kids need this and whatever. And then if something falls through, I'm like, what's happening? I have to remember. So even if I'm at a basketball game, and I'm not trying to be deep or saying this is super spiritual, but that's what we all talking about, right? That's who we are. Even if I'm at a basketball game and somebody next to me starts a conversation with me, I need to know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And so my purpose in this conversation may turn into something different at the game. But I'm still going to be a mother. I'm still going to scream and yell. I'm still going to do whatever. But I'm still going to do my purpose with you at the game, because I know who I am. And sometimes we forget that and say, well, we're here, so I'm a caretaker. This is all I can do. But even in being a caretaker, when somebody comes in your home to help with the person you're taking care of, the physical therapist, the nurse, the speech therapist, they might need something from you.
Yeah.
And as long as we don't forget that, then we will always, and this is a thing I used to think, like, God, I'm doing all this, people are doing, who is going to pour into me, right? That's what fellowshipping with the saints is for. That's what services are for. That's what reading your word is for. But if you just wait, God will send someone. And it might not be who you think it should be, but they will send a text.
Yes.
They will give you a hug and whisper in your ear. It will be something. But the problem is we're looking for somebody else to do it. So,
all right, I want to. I'm gonna throw this next question to Ms. Dawn and Kim. As a grandmother, what would you tell your 25-year-old self about identity?
I would tell myself to love yourself. Find your true identity. Sit and really ask God, who am I? Who do you want me to be? What do you have for me in your will? I want to be predestined for what you have called me to be. So I really would say, because that's something that, like I said before, I'm the one that everybody goes to. I've always loved. I have a really big heart, but I've never felt from being born love, you know.
To what you are you referring about? Referring towards you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I felt the love that I was seeking from my mother, I never received. So I would say you have to love yourself. So you have to, in order to love you, with loving yourself, that establish where you're going to go in life. Because if I'm disliking myself, then
Kim?
So my thoughts are similar to Dawn, and I actually just had a conversation yesterday similar to this question, and that was the very thing, just knowing, if I was to tell someone that was 25 or my 25 self, just knowing who you are, loving on God, because through loving God, God will show you who you are. He will show you how to love yourself. He will show you how to set boundaries. He will show you and direct your path, which way to go. So I think just placing him first and loving on him, and through loving on him, everything else will just like line up for you. It'll be easier for you. So that's really what I will tell.
All right, this next one I'm gonna throw to Mira. As a younger person today, what pressures are there that makes identity confusing, in your opinion?
Like I said earlier, which is why I understand why you told me not to go too far. Literally, because we're in this age where we want, well, kind of, sort of, it depends on your maturity level, but some people in this age are really, really, especially if you don't have it within yourself, are really seeking validation from other people. And me, I was one of those people who sought out validation from other people to build up my own confidence. And so now I'm in this place where I am like building myself up and being comfortable in my own skin, and then allowing myself to not necessarily seek for validation in other people, but seeking my validation in God. And because, and also learning that everybody's not gonna like me, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and the decisions that I make, I have to have peace with myself and peace with God, and just let it fly and be okay with it. Like if somebody don't like the decisions that I make, or I can't be everything to everybody, I have to be okay with that, because I will stretch, and I mean stretch myself thin to be a support, to be a sister, to be a friend, or whatever the case may be. I mean stretch myself thin. And my mother always said, like, if you are stretching yourself so thin or putting so much of yourself out for other people, what you gonna have for yourself? And so I am really in this mode of trying to let my no's be no's, my yes be yeses, and be absolutely okay with it, and understand that at the end of the day, the world is not who I'm trying to impress. The people of this world are not who I'm. Granted, we're gonna use people, and God has placed people in our lives to help us to go forward, but at the end of the day, that's not who I'm impressing. Like, you're just a part of my journey, but the end goal is not to impress you or get the well done from you.
Right.
So it's a lot, but we learn, and we live and we learn. We live and we learn.
That's what I think. That's what every generation, we live and we learn, and we got to go through the process. So I'm gonna flip the script a little bit over to marriage, singleness, and self-worth. Now, my first question is for the married women. How do you continue evolving personally while honoring your covenant?
First, you have to understand you're taking on before you even say I do. So I think a lot of women just want the I do, but don't know what comes with it. So first of all, you have to establish that this is a commitment, but not to this man. It's a commitment to God. And with that, you'll actually be able to evolve more, because it's sometimes that marriage, I'm not going to say it's a job, but you are working. So, you know, so you can become weary, you can become tired, but you have to reflect and say, with all of that, I'm a wife and I took this title on, so I'm going to continue to push and I'm going to make everything come together. But like I said, I just don't think that people just understand the commitment of what marriage is about. And also, I kind of forgot what you just asked.
So,
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. How do you continue evolving personally while honoring your covenant?
I think you honor your covenant as long as you do what you know that God requests of you as a wife, right? Or what your husband requests of you as well as a wife, because, you know. But personally, you still have goals. You still have things you want to accomplish. And how I do that is I communicate it.
Okay.
You know? So I communicate, this is where I want to be, and this is what I want to do, and this is how I want to do it. And then that's a conversation with Marcus, well, my husband. And so that, you know, he also knows, and also knows the plan. And if we need to change it, deviate from it, or whatever, I think a lot of times we personally want to get somewhere and we want to do it without communicating it. So that makes a strain in your marriage, because first of all, why did you get married if you don't want to talk? Right? So if for anybody who wants to get married, if you don't want to talk, don't do it, because you need to communicate. And so if you don't communicate your personal goals, which this should start at beforehand, this should start prior to marriage, then that way when you get in the marriage, it won't be hard, because it's not, the only thing will be hard is all the other things that you bring into your marital life. So it won't be hard because your spouse already knows this is where you said you wanted to go, and this is how long you wanted to take, or this is, you want to be here by this time. So I think I always communicate that, and it is a, you know, a give and take, because sometimes, you know, if I want to go to school, he got to wait to go to school, he want to go to school, you know, different things you want to achieve or accomplish. And then some things, even though it's personally, your spouse can help you get there.
And I wanted to say this too, as far as the communication part, what you were saying, I think this is the really like a vital part. It has to be effective communication, because sometimes as couples, you might just be talking, but it's not effective. And you have to make sure that you really listen, you know, so I think that's like a key, effective communication.
Okay. Would you like to speak on it?
Cherie said everything that I was just about to say. But no, I think communication is one of the key factors, because you can have your dreams, and you know, you got dreams as a couple of where you want to go, and then you got, you know, with me, I'm gonna speak for as far as myself, I know where I want to be individually. So I have to communicate that to my husband, because if he doesn't know, then it's like times that I'm acting on it. You know, one, you kind of got to know when to step up, when to fall back, because like she said, he could be having something going on. So what's the priority? I mean, at the end of the day, you both love each other, so you both should be evolving together and individually. So you just kind of got to know when to step up, when to fall back. Is this the right time? Is this not the right time? How am I going to get there? I may need your help. I may need his advice. Maybe, you know, what I'm trying to evolve in, what one of my goals may be, he may be good in one aspect of it, and, you know, vice versa. So I think communicating with your spouse is a major key. And like, you have to have your individual goals too. Like, I understand that you are married and everything is like, okay, we want this and we want this, but for your own identity, you have to have your own goals too, but express those goals to your spouse.
Okay.
Want to do on the back burner. You should be evolving, like you said, together. It is a companionship, and it's also compromising.
All right. All my single ladies. Single ladies. Oh, let me not try to sing that though. But how do you avoid feeling behind or overlooked? Is that something that you've had to challenge? Well, has that been a challenge for you, or is that something that you feel like not you, even if it's not you personally, do you know other single women who feel like they've been overlooked or they've been left behind in any type of situation being like in their singleness? That's one to ponder on. Go ahead, Marcella.
I would say, I think it's based on individuals' perspective and how they carry themselves.
Okay.
Like, independent, like as single women, a lot of times we become so independent and we're involved in a lot of things that we don't really reflect on, oh, okay, because I'm single, I'm left behind and I'm overlooked. I think that goes back to like the first question was like rediscovering ourselves.
Okay.
Because like I don't think being necessarily with a partner, being with someone, with in a relationship, makes me, if that makes sense. You know, like, no, I'm not overlooked. It's just that that opportunity for me to be in a relationship has not come about, or God has not presented the person that I should be with. But when you are strong within yourself, you get involved and you do things with the community in which you want to do it. But I wouldn't per se say I feel overlooked or, you know, isolated or whatever the other word was.
I can relate that people may feel that way because I think then it's examining your own personal purpose, course, life versus worldly standards. Because I think the world will say tick tock, by a certain amount of time you should have been a wife, a mother, a this and that. And I don't know, some things for me, I just try to inhabit a spirit of peace and not be anxious for anything, knowing that if that's a part of God's plan for me, he's got it timed out.
Yeah.
And if I put my hand in it and I try to get myself to here and there, I've learned enough to know, hey, don't, because you're gonna mess it up. And I think that I remember a friend of mine and I were talking about Esther, and we're talking about feeling overlooked. And the thing is, like, either you're hidden in Christ or you're not. And then you can't, be like an ostrich, keep sticking your head up, looking for somebody to find you. As certain women with certain values, especially my Christian women, like, we don't belong everywhere.
Yeah.
We're not going to be accessible to everybody. So I don't belong on every app. I don't belong at every conversation, every lounge, every bar, because that's not my crowd.
Yeah.
So it may take a little bit more time or selection for certain things to happen or to go my way, but I believe that that's a part of the protection that Christ and my Christian development has given me, to really, not to over spiritualize it, but you're guarded, you're protected for a reason. There's some places where you go and you can shop and you can put your hands all over the merchandise, but there's some places where you go that are elite, things are under glass. And I believe that there are some women who are under glass, so you are protected, you are preserved. You cannot be accessible to anybody and everything. So if that looks like being overlooked, they can't. That's the value. If it looks like time and whatever, I'd look at it as divine protection.
Well, ladies, we have run out of time. I feel like the time just flew by. So we do want to thank our viewers for tuning in. If you can take one thing, just remember that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. We want to thank Pastor Tony Smith and Victorious Ministries for allowing us to be a part of the vision. Until next time, bye-bye.